Welcome to Make Pods Great Again. I'm your host, John, back with my girl, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
This is our second or third time talking today.
Second, third?
Fifth,
I know I'm like the
fifth.
only person that calls you, but I really
Well,
enjoy talking to you on the phone, even when we're not recording it on a Zoom call.
I do have people call me beside you. I do have a
Really?
life. Yeah, well, I mean, I have a
Are you
job.
sure?
I have a
Wait,
real job.
work calls do not count.
It feels like they count because they
You,
call a lot.
do not put me in the bucket of work calls. God.
Sorry, didn't mean to insult you. Well, tonight's gonna be fun. So we got I fangirl over OGs. This happens every time, but I actually did some research for this one. So we got a
Ooh.
six-time regional athlete, 5 podium finishes, 5 trips to the games, college wrestler, Navy SEAL, coffee aficionado, YouTube sensation of Paying the Man. It's very popular. And now podcast host of Checkin In, Josh Bridges. Josh, how are you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to sit and chat with you guys. So,
I mean, I was kind of blown, like, as I was looking at all the stuff you've done, like, you've got, like, quite the resume, dude. But I mean, besides the stuff you did before CrossFit, like, now you are becoming, like, kind of this media sensation, at least within our CrossFit community. Your YouTube channel's really blown up, and now you're doing podcasting. Like, how tough was it for you going from, like, kind of the athletic side into this? I mean, social media is weird, dude. Like, Nikki and I say it all the time. Most of the a significant portion of the public's a little nuts, and once you start jumping into social media, it gets a little crazy. Like, how's it feeling for you?
it's really been fun. I love it. No, it's
Really?
not. It's very.
I was
No,
like,
it's been.
okay, cool. He's so
It's
good at
it's
this.
been.
How?
No, it's been interesting to say the least. I've never wanted to be. If I could get rid of social media today, I would in a heartbeat. It's not my thing. I don't like it. Exactly. It brings out the worst types of people for some reason. There is a lot of good aspect to it. There is, this sharing of, connecting with people that you normally wouldn't be able to connect with. But the amount of people out there that are not the people I'd want to hang out with is high, and they're the ones that you always, they're the ones that stick out. Their comments are the ones that you remember. It's not the how many of them that are nice and great. It's the ones that like are, I mean, some of the ones I've always wanted to actually do a mean tweets or mean comments, like
Yes.
the Jimmy Kimmel
Uh-huh.
or whatever. And I was like, I have a good laundry list of just comments where you're like, I don't even know where this comes from, but it's hilarious. And so, yeah, the whole social media thing has been interesting. The YouTube is very simple. It's basically me just working out. So that really isn't that hard. That was an adjustment. It was like, there's just a camera here, and I don't even really think about him anymore. And then I give a little talk at the end where I talk about the workout and things to think about, maybe just some things that are on my mind. And that's kind of cool, and kind of people are enjoying that. And then the podcast, when Coop said, "Hey, let's do a podcast," I was like, "Man, nobody wants to hear me talk." Like,
I
I'm
know
not
the feeling.
I'm not the smartest guy. I don't speak elegantly. Like I use a lot of ums. I've had to like listen back to my podcast now, and I'm like,
Oh,
man, I hate, like, I'm like, I
uh-huh.
say I say exactly, or I'll do this like noise that I make, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh. So
Oh my
it's
God,
been an
Josh,
interesting ride.
you wouldn't have survived reporter boot camp at games.
I
That's
bet.
like the worst. But every year when we would get back, the broadcast team would get back together, and we would, before games started, we'd sit in a room for a day and we would rewatch all of our footage leading up to, like, from regionals and from all the interviews that we had done and whatever, and some of the studio stuff from the guys. And the director would like start and stop and be like, see what you did there? Don't do that. And then they'd start it and stop it and be like, and that, see how you moved your hand? Don't do that. Don't say that. You look stupid. You sound ridiculous. And it was like, you would just sit there like, oh, I'm waiting for my clip to come next. I have to rewatch how much I suck.
Right. Yeah. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different ball game, right? It's not like, they put in effort, right? He tried really hard, like as being an athlete. Now it's like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, you sound stupid. You don't sound that smart. And
And they'll
people
tell you.
are right, and they're going to tell you. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, here's your fair warning, Josh. So when you do a podcast, I also was dealing with like kind of the worst of the worst on the main page, but it's pretty easy to like block those people or not deal with them. You know, it's like real easy. The podcast is different because when people hear you talk, they feel like they know you. They feel like they're like in your house having dinner with you, and when they come in to comment, they come in hot. Like they do. They do. Like they'll send you a message like they've known you their whole life. They don't say hi. They don't introduce themselves. It's just like, boom, let me tell you why you're wrong, motherfucker. And they just go at you. It's, oh,
Maybe
it's
it's different for girls because sometimes I get really sweet comments from girls that are like, I feel like I know you and like I just want to hang out. And I'm like, I want to hang out too. That's cool. So I mean, sometimes it sucks and sometimes people are assholes and that is what it is. But like normally I don't but you guys are also, you have different content. I feel like if someone subscribes to like me and my shit, it's real specific. You either like my dogs or you want to see me interview athletes. You guys are like, you have a ton of other shit going on. Like John with all the memes and he's like trying to, start conversation. And Josh, you're like everywhere from your accolades to your workouts, to your thoughts, to your coffee. Like I feel like people have many more avenues to come at you hot. Those lanes are all on fire.
I think the hard part is people think that I think I'm an expert when I know damn well I'm not an expert at anything. And I do give my opinions on things and what I feel, like I have my, the things that I want to talk about because I like to talk about them. But in no way do I consider myself an expert in anything. I'm always learning. And so people are going to tell me, hey, you're dumb. Like, this is stupid and why? And you're like, okay, I'll deal with it. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I know.
And that just, it comes with being in the public, being a public figure. And it's just, it's like, there's always downfalls to some certain things. I wouldn't even call it a downfall. It's just a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. You kind of know what you're getting into when you start. I agree. Right. I know I'm the same way. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was getting into, Nikki. Not at all.
You didn't?
No.
Really?
No, not at all. I thought I had such rose-colored glasses, and they went away so quickly.
I am like jaded from working in TV news, from like working in like at local news stations, because that was where like, you think people online are bad? Poof. People who watch the local news and then email in to the reporters to tell you that you like are wearing an outfit that is like not flattering. Those are the people. Those are the real original trolls, the OG trolls.
Yeah. Who watches the local news though? That's the thing, right?
Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong. Hey,
I know.
You have a job.
No, it was a long time ago, but even then, those people, they were real. They were real, and they had nothing better to do with their time than tell me that I needed more makeup at 5 a.m. when I was on the air.
Some people, like literally, there will be times where my TV will just happen to be on the channel because I'm watching like a sporting event or something, and the local news comes on afterwards. And I won't really be paying attention to it. I'll be cooking or eating or something. Yeah. And then I'll like kind of like catch a couple like topics they're talking about. I'm like, who watches? It's awful.
I know.
The worst thing that happened like around your, like where you live.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't want to hear about this.
Yes.
I thought I lived in a nice place.
That is 100% the reason I got out of it. Like I really wanted to do news and like bring people stories that mattered and information that mattered, and I wanted to like make a difference in the world by like spreading their information and being a political watchdog and this and that. And then I was like, I'm like going to another house fire to like tell the story of like people who are having the worst day of their lives. I'm all set. I'm all done. I'm chasing ambulances and it is like the worst thing ever. Stupid.
Oh, come on, Nikki.
You start. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what made you start doing the meme page?
Oh, Jesus. My daughters talked me into it. I was, I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version. So I started this right after the election when Trump won. I thought it'd be really funny to create a Twitter handle in the voice of Trump, and, but only about CrossFit, only CrossFit. So I called it CrossFit Trump, and I was going to do tweets, things like, I'm great at pull-ups because my hands are huge, or I like doing wall balls on the border wall, shit like that. And I started using it to troll my coaches. So I was, at the time I train with the Pancheks. And so I was training with Scott and the twins, who were still at his gym at the time. And so I would troll them when they would go to competitions. They didn't know I was doing this. And the Twitter handle, like it didn't get very big, but it gained like 600-700 followers. And my daughter was like, "Hey Dad, this would be better as a meme page." So she created the Instagram page, and I started just doing posts, and nothing really happened with it. And then when regionals came around, rest in peace, in like 2018, they had a contest, and for you hashtag the update show, and they might post your memes or your tweets or whatever. And it was Kayla Banfield was the host, and I knew she was dating or with James Newberry.
James.
So I did a couple of Newberry memes and a couple of other, kind of, popular Australian athletes for that regional. And she posted them. And like, I flipped open my phone that night, and like, it was like being a Kardashian. You just like watch the followers just go click, 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 And that's when I knew I was kind of onto something. And then my oldest daughter was like, "Well, you should start tagging the athletes because they'll see it." And I'm like, "There's no way these athletes will see it." She's like, "Just do it." So I did one on Rich Froning, and I tagged him, and he commented, and he's really funny. It was really funny, both the meme and his comment. And that's when I figured out, like, all right, people will see them. B, you can actually do something with it. And so then I started just kind of playing around with it, and it just never slowed down. Like, it just kind of kept growing and kept growing and kept growing, and turned into this foolishness. So it was kind of a fluke,
Now
but
I'm constantly like, why do people want to hear us talk? I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I'm like, why? How did it turn into this? And now who wants to hear us talk about anything? Why?
well, it was interesting though. Like, as I started doing it, and it'll take us like kind of back into our conversation here, is like, I figured out really early on that you can use the memes for social commentary. You can use them to talk about the community, talk about the things that we all have in common, the shared suffering that we go through, whether it's the workouts or the dumb stuff you see in gyms or whatever. And for me, that's where it was really fun. And I think why it's had such growth, and I think why this podcast does well, is because it's just relatable to people. Like, people don't necessarily want to talk about the workouts. They want to talk about what happened in like their experience in the workout or their feelings from it. And, once I figured that out, it was just kind of off to the races, and honestly, it's kind of why I wanted to bring you on. Like, I think when I saw you were doing a podcast, I thought, man, that's really cool. Like, people are going to love to hear from you. Was there, like a genesis for that? Or you guys just like, what the hell, let's just do it?
There really wasn't anything specific where I sat and thought, I was like, I really want to do a podcast. I enjoy podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Whenever I'm driving, taking long drives, I that's what I listen to. I like music, but there comes a time where it almost becomes white noise in the back where I'm just thinking anyways. And so sometimes having a podcast on helps me to allow my brain to actually start thinking. And I learn a lot. I typically I don't listen to like funny not they're not funny, but I listen to like doctors, and I've had 3 knee surgeries. So like this podcast I was listening to is one of them is about he's a orthopedic surgeon, and he talks like he was going in depth on like these knee surgeries, and he's talking to this very prestigious orthopedic surgeon that has worked on like every single great athlete in the world that you would think of. And so it's always interesting, and I learn, and I liked it a lot. And that, like, so that's kind of what I'm trying to do with mine, is just have interesting people on that I can have an interesting conversation with, where I can learn, because I know I'm not the smartest guy in the world. And so it probably won't come off that great, where it's like one person's going to be sounding really intelligent and talking about whatever they talk about, and I'm going to be like, oh, that's awesome. Cool. So
tell me more.
But I get something out of it. And so it's been really fun. And I've gotten to have, I have a lot of great guys that I worked with in the military, in my time as a SEAL. And I have so many great buddies who are doing so many cool things outside, like after they've gotten out now. And so I get to sit and like pick their brains and help them. Like I have this really cool platform where for some reason people want to listen to me. I have so I get to like help these guys out, because they're all doing like amazing things. And mostly it's always working with veterans in some sort of capacity. So
awesome.
That was really the only one of the only major things that I was started is because it was a selfish reason where I want to talk to cool people, and this helps me do that.
I think that's so cool. I love it. And that's exactly why I tune into podcasts, is because I want to hear some sort of like intimate, relatable conversation. Like I could go and read some white papers about like knee surgeries and, reports from, no, seriously, reports from professionals.
Right.
But the whole point is hearing someone talk about it the way I would talk about it with my friends, or the way I would ask questions to someone who's a professional. Like that's how you're going to ask them. And so that's why I would want to tune in. Like my favorite podcast is true crime, and it's these two girls. It's called My Favorite Murder for anyone who listens to other podcasts. But the reason I like it is because these two girls just relay true crime stories to each other the way that friends and I talk about, like, oh my God, did you hear about what happened to blah, blah, blah? Or do you know the backstory to, the Boston Strangler or whatever, like the big ones are. I could go and read a thing or watch a documentary. But the point is I'm listening to someone talk about it the way I can relate to it. So I'm excited I think you should have your knee surgeon on, Josh, because I want to know what happened in that knee.
It's funny. I've actually thought that. And my knee surgeon, I went to a very, very, like, he's an awesome person in general. And I've never had an experience medically like I did with this knee surgeon. And his name's Dr. Preventure. And he's out of the Stedman Clinic in Vail, Colorado. And I got really lucky that I was able to go there because at first my insurance was only in California, right? So they don't cover out of state operations. Well, I still have the VA, thankfully. And so I tried to go to the VA, and the VA, if the VA can't do a surgery for you in a 30-day period, they allow you to go outside of, or basically in a network, and find your own doctor. And so I got super lucky that I got to work with Dr. Preventure, and it was such an awesome experience. And I've never, like, I'm sitting there like texting with my doctor, like not only did he come and talk to me before, whatever, that night, I'm like thinking I have a, like an infection in my knee or something.
Of course,
and he's like,
of course.
Like, it's just like where your head goes every time. And he, I'm texting with him, and he had 5 people on staff with him that you literally had direct contact with. And it was like instantly. And then because I've had some awful experiences medically. And so where you're like, no one deserves to be treated like this. Not one person. So that was such a cool experience. And our whole story, how I became, how I actually got to Dr. Preventure is really crazy. So in 2012, when I dislocated my knee, I was still in the military, right? I didn't get to compete in the games that year. And he actually was the orthopedic surgeon for SEAL, like the West Coast SEAL teams.
Oh, no way.
So he technically would have done my knee surgery in 2012, my initial knee surgery.
Oh my
where
God.
I tore my ACL, PCL, and MCL.
Oh my, wait. How did that happen? Hold on. You can't just glaze over that detail. How the hell did you do that?
A guy, like me and a guy were wrestling, and I literally like dropped. It was not like anything. I wasn't, like saving anybody's life or anything like that. Like we were wrestling, and I dropped the guy on my knee. Literally, it dislocated. So my knee, if you looked at it, like it was going the opposite, like out sideways, like 90 degrees. It was It was crazy. So. Yeah. So I get my knee surgery done from that, which it was done by a doctor, and he didn't do a good job at all.
Oh, no.
But I pushed through it and made it work. And I got to, 2020, when did I have the surgery? 2019. So last February, 2019 February is when I had the surgery. So I made it, 7 years on that knee. I don't think I had an ACL or a PCL I don't think that they took, to be honest. So most of the years competing, I didn't have any ligaments really in my left knee. But anyways, where we were going. Yeah. So Dr. Preventure was the doctor, right? So he was supposed to do that. He was supposed to do that surgery, but he was on deployment. And so I didn't get to have him because I had come back from deployment. I was on deployment when I heard it. I had to be flown back from Afghanistan. And then, so he was still overseas while I got my surgery. So during that time, I actually used, John Wellborn. John Wellborn was you guys all know who John is, right?
No, who dat?
Nope.
Okay, so John Wellborn is he was actually part of he was part of CrossFit. He was a CrossFit athlete a little bit himself, but he was also a 10-year offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh shit.
So he's had some really extensive I think he's had quite a few knee surgeries himself. And CJ at the time, Martin, reached out to John and connected us. So we, had a little connection in there, and he's like, you need to go see the Stedman Clinic. That's where I got all of my knee surgeries. And I was like, okay. So in 2012, I'm trying to go outside of the military, but the military is telling me, no, we can do your surgery within 30 days. So you have to go through our surgeon. And I'm like, okay, fine. So
worked out so great last time, guys.
Worked out, yeah.
Like, so great. Yeah.
So it worked out great. So I didn't get to go to the Stedman Clinic back then. So fast forward 18, after the 18 regionals, my knee just didn't feel right. And I almost didn't go to the games that year in 18. I almost, called and withdrew from the competition many times after I qualified at regionals. And I finally came to the realization, I'm like, this might be my last year. I don't know. And I qualified. So fuck it. I'm going to excuse my language, but I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go and I'm going to give it everything I got. And, I couldn't run. I couldn't squat. I barely got to train, like working up into games, but it is what it is. And I had a great, to be honest, I got a different experience at the games than I'd ever gotten. I got to enjoy it. And actually just kind of like step back and like take it all in and see how actually cool the experience is without the stress of being like, I know I'm not going to win.
Right.
So right after the games though, I start the process of trying to get my knee fixed. Again, I'm like, I'm going to go to the Stedman Clinic, and because now I have good insurance. Oh, lo and behold, hey, your California insurance doesn't go out of state, and the Stedman Clinic's in Colorado. So I'm like, well, shit. So I went to see this. I went there. I traveled there and talked to the doctor, and I talked to Dr. Preventure, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, you were the doc for us back in 2012. Like, this is crazy. And so he became a reservist in the military, went on to be the New England Patriots team doctor. He did surgeries on Tom Brady, Gronkowski, Edelman. He's done all these guys' surgeries.
He was right here. He was in my backyard. What's up? I'm the only person in Rhode Island. I'm the only one.
Exactly.
It was just me and the doc.
And so he ended up leaving that and moving to the Stedman Clinic. The Stedman Clinic is just a very well-known. Walking through the halls of the Stedman Clinic, it is literally like walking through the Hall of Fame of every sport, because every athlete that has injured themselves, like Kobe Bryant, that's where Kobe Bryant went. That's where like Mario Lemieux, Yao Ming. Lindsey Vaughn. You literally are walking through, and I was just like this. I'm such a sports nut. And so I'm like walking through the halls, and I'm like, I don't even care if I see the doctor. I just like, this is awesome.
So cool.
All these jerseys. So I go there and I see him, and he tells me, he's like, hey, I can fix your knee. I think I can get you back to where you want to be. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I go home and I like start the process of like, he's like, this is how you might, because he's in the military. He's like, go to the VA and start the process and see what they say. And like, maybe we can get the VA to pay for it for you to come out here. I was like, okay. He was actually willing to do everything for free for me. He was like, I'll do it for free.
No way.
I would just,
what a guy.
Right. So that like, I would have had to pay the hospital bill, which was like 35 grand or 40 grand. So I was like, let's try to do the VA. And so I go back and start the whole process. It was crazy. The doctor who did my original surgery in 2012 is now the VA doctor, the VA orthopedic. So that's who I had to go to. And I was like, this whole little circle thing here is getting a little weird. So it ends up, they couldn't do the surgery. They couldn't get me in for like 60 days. So I did get to go out of network. I got to go out to see Preventure, and he's done my surgery. And it was just such an awesome experience. And but while we were talking about this was because I know I've actually thought so many times, I'm like, I got to have Preventure on my podcast, because it was just, the whole story is crazy, and he's such a great guy, and he's doing a lot of great things to help the VA. He's trying to help the VA system, because it's so dysfunctional and terrible. And so
Right.
it's, but yeah, that was kind of a long story for why I want to have Preventure on my podcast.
I love it. No, when he first saw your knee, was he like, oh, that other guy done fucked up?
He is such a good guy. He didn't say anything. And I had to ask him like 5 times. I had to be like, hey, was it bad? And he just kind of like looked at me. He's like, you know, like just not, he like never talked bad about the guy. You know, he was just such a, like the guy's such a great guy. So if you have any knee injuries and you need to see a great doctor, Dr. Preventure Stedman Clinic out in Vail, Colorado.
Amazing.
The guy to go to.
See, I feel like that'll be perfect. That's exactly why I want to listen to your podcast, because like that story in and of itself is so fascinating to me. And I just want to hear my buddy talking to his doctor about that time he got his knee replaced. Like it's, right. I think you should have him on. I think you should have him on.
I will. Yeah.
People like that authenticness. And I think that's why they like you, Josh. I mean, you sounded surprised that people want to hear what you have to say, but you're very authentic. And, you know, like I think even back to like your games events and when you're competing, you know, and you get like kind of that Hulk-like yell when you win something, you know, or when you do really well. And I think it resonates. Like people like that. So I think your podcast is going to do really well. People get excited about this stuff. So
I hope so. Yeah, I appreciate it.
So how's like Oh, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just saying, yeah, I try to be authentic. That's been my thing the whole time, is like I never want to portray myself as someone that I'm not. And, you know, I'm not going to change who I am for a video camera or an audio file or something, you know. It's like just be mean. If people like me, cool. If they don't, then I'll move on
tell
and do
you.
something else.
Trust me. They'll tell you if they don't.
They'll tell you.
I know.
Well, and that's harder than it seems. Like it's harder than it seems to not get caught up in the, how should I look and what should I say? And okay, so I can and I can't talk about this and people are going to get mad and whatever. Like it's almost as, it takes almost as much effort to be authentic as it does to be careful and walk on eggshells. It's like, you got to find that balance of like, I can't piss fucking everybody off, but like,
yes, you can.
You can, you totally can. Why not? Just do it.
Well,
just do it.
That's a good point though, Nikki. Do you censor yourself, Josh? Like I censor myself a lot. Right? Do you do that?
I do and I don't. There's definitely things I don't like to talk about, just due to I don't like when other people talk about them. That for me, I'm like, I'm not going to talk about that. Like that's a subject I'm just not going to go into, because I have my opinions, and if we want to have an off-air conversation about it, we can. I'm just not going to publicly talk about it.
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say I censor myself. But exactly. I do have things that I'm not going to talk about publicly. And
yeah, I do. I don't talk politics on the page at all. Like at all. Like, I mean, I'll use photos of politicians, and even that riles people up. Like you can have these days I intentionally use photos and make sure it has absolutely nothing to do with politics just to piss people off because they think it's political. You know, it's
right.
People would just get crazy about it. So I censor all of that. I can't bring myself to talk about it. It's just not worth the fight.
Yeah, you know? It's not worth the fight. And to be honest, the people that are going to listen, all they're going to do is they're going to listen to what you have to say, but then they're going to wait for their turn to talk about it.
Yes.
Like they don't care really what you have to say. They're not trying to learn anything or have an actual conversation about something. They just want to hear what you have to say, and they already have their minds made up, and they're going to tell you exactly that.
Yep. That is such poison in our society today that it is so toxic. And that is one of my favorite things that I learned in therapy last year was how to stop and listen, was how to stop waiting for someone else to just finish so that I could go. And that's all that like heated conversations are. Debates aren't, they could be so constructive and they could be so healthy because we're hearing each other out and we're talking about things and we're disagreeing, and that's fine. But like without listening and interpreting and understanding and then like, you know, asking questions versus just stopping and waiting for my turn to yell or my turn to go. Like, I didn't hear anything. I'm not even listening because I'm formulating my own opinion in my head right now. Wait for me to talk.
Right.
Here's what
like my favorite communication tool is like actually listening.
Oh, so here's what I don't understand, Nikki. So Josh, we did a podcast a few weeks ago where just like a blurb, it was like a quick conversation. Nikki and I made the mistake of talking religion because I went to a gym that quoted a Bible verse before the workout. And so I said, I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Nikki's Jewish. She's like, oh, it doesn't bother me.
Doesn't
All right. That
bother
was
me.
the whole conversation. So some atheist sends me a DM
Oh
and
my God.
blows me up for it. Like
And
I'm the
John was
one.
upset. John was really upset
Yes.
about
I was
this.
the one that said, I'm not sure how I feel about it. And Nikki's like, oh, I don't care. And then I got yelled at for it. I'm like, I hate the public. I just hate this is why I don't talk about this stuff. So
Yeah, religion might be worse than politics.
It might
so
be.
my point
Yeah.
is everyone listening, if you get pissed off, please DM Nikki and yell at her. That's all I care. That's all I care
I
about.
do not. I really don't have the toxic DMs that you guys get. Every so often, I mean, I do have one dude that only talks to himself in my DMs, and every chick has one of those.
There you go.
But I don't have any. I will say this, and it kind of goes on what I said before, where it's like, if you follow me, it's real specific. Like, you either love photos of my dog, or you think my husband's cute, or you want to watch me interview people. Like, that's like all I post about. That's all there is. So I don't. You gotta opt in. But you guys have a lot of different kinds of content, so I feel like that's why people are like, oh, let me just rant to them.
You know, to be honest, since about prior to 2016, it was a lot of hate.
What?
After the 20, it was before, it was really bad before. And then 16 hit, and the open, actually, when I had the whole deadlift, not standing up all the way, whatever, thing happened, that got some hate, and that got interesting. But other than that, after 16, when I made the comeback from 15, people just appreciate it, and they love the facial hair, which I didn't really understand, because it was literally me just being
t-shirts. It's it's got a life of its own.
So that the hate is definitely slowed for sure. There's definitely still some sprinkles here and there. It's not nearly as much.
Yeah.
But prior to that, man, people just, I don't know. I felt like I was like, man, the people hate me. But it might have been too early though, too, where it was just for me, it was so new, and putting myself out there was so new, and I was still in the military. So I didn't really talk about the military at all. I didn't talk about being a SEAL. Until I got out, you can never find me on a audio or video where I say I'm a Navy SEAL. I wouldn't say it. I just would say I was in the military. And so I think maybe that could also be the fact that after 16, I started to say, hey, yeah, I was a Navy SEAL, and people appreciate that. People appreciate the military in the United States. So that could have made some changes as well, but who knows? I
would love to think that our community is better than that, because in a lot of
Nikki.
Well, I will say in a lot of ways they are, just in when we had Jessica Fithen on, and she runs the You Look Like a Man page, a lot of our people. Yeah.
I read some of that. I was like, this is
isn't
crazy.
it insane? But it doesn't live in the CrossFit world quite so much as in the Globo gym world or the powerlifting world or whatever. So I will say that our community is pretty good about that. I wish our community was better about the hate.
I think our community's great in so many ways. I know I've made a lot of jokes here, so I'm gonna get railed in the DMs if I don't say this out loud. I love our community. There's so many great things, but I'm imagining for you, Josh, there are a lot of movement I don't post any workout videos for good reason, mostly because
for a fact, the moment you post a video like that, that's coming. That's coming. Mm-hmm. That's as for sure as breathing, right?
Yes.
So, it is what it is. You're never going to stop it. I posted a video of my son deadlifting, and the hate that came in on that.
Come on.
I was like, first and foremost, this kid's just proud of himself for what he's doing. And his form really wasn't bad. He had a slight round to his low back. But guess what? I wasn't out there being like, hey, you need to be deadlifting. He was proud because he actually did it on his own. And I was proud of him for, he was doing double body weight. He was he weighed 50 pounds and he was deadlifting 100 pounds. And I was like, this is really cool. I'm really pumped for you, man. Because I could tell how proud of himself he was. And so I posted it, not realizing the amount of people who deadlifting is just that. Deadlifting might be the worst movement to post.
Yeah.
Because absolutely.
There is no matter how you do it, you're going to get hate on. And it's just, it is what it is. And I'm when you start talking about my form and me as that's fine. You start talking about my kids, okay, bro. let's have some conversations.
Right.
And it was that was an interesting.
Who's got the time to comment on each other's kids' form on Instagram?
Yeah.
Like, who's got the? I don't understand. I really don't.
I could never imagine if I saw something that I was like, wow, that's really stupid, or that person looks dumb. Taking the time, like you just said, to actually leaving an awful comment.
Yes.
Because it does nothing for me. It does nothing for that person. Because if I actually wanted to help them, I would give them like a maybe take the time to give them a little bit of like, hey man, maybe you should think about this. But to be honest, like, guess what? Like, that person is doing their own thing and they're having fun, and they're if they're doing fitness, great for them. You know, like, they're changing their life in some way and form and helping themselves. So I'm not going to hate on them. But
right.
There are people out there that just they hate their lives and they hate who they are, and they're miserable, and they want to make everyone else miserable.
That's exactly it. Like, why going out of your way to like put effort into leaving a mean comment does nothing other than fuel your own need for drama. It's so real. Exactly. I don't understand it. Yikes.
Well, and then even worse, picking on your kid. Come on.
Picking on your kid.
I got kids. I'd probably get banned for Instagram for what I'd come back with. Like,
there it is. Every podcast I do, even my own, Reagan makes an appearance. That's my dog.
Oh.
She likes to bark at the door.
Ours too. Nikki has 2 dogs and I have a cat, and they're always on every show. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mine is currently sleeping like a bearskin rug right here. Right next to me.
She's making sure, she's just making sure no one's breaking in the house.
Gotta be
She's a good girl.
Well, outside of the CrossFit hate, how's the coffee thing going? Like, I love, what you're doing with, was it Good Dudes Coffee? I get that right?
It is, yeah. Good Dudes Coffee. That's it. It's doing well. It's doing really well. I'm really excited about it. I love coffee. I have a very big passion for it. I enjoy it, all aspects of it. The whole business side of it has been very interesting to watch and see. I'm not a business-oriented person. I just like the things that have become my job have just been luckily enough really enjoyed all of them, after my little stint prior to the military. Before the military, I had some awful jobs, but everyone does when they're younger. So
wait, what were your OG jobs that you hated before you got in the military? Tell me you scooped ice cream, please.
I did not scoop ice cream. I was way worse. Scooping ice cream actually sounds amazing compared to what I did. I was a telemarketer. I sold people.
No.
Yes. So I literally was the guy who called you at dinner time to sell you call waiting and call forwarding and all those extra littles that you had on your landline when we had landlines. And it was miserable. It was like the worst hours. You didn't have 2 days off in a row. You were literally in this building. And if you've never worked in a call center or don't know how it works, you literally have a mic or a headphone in your ear, like the old school ones, like the McDonald's.
1999 Britney Spears.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. That's picturing it right now. Yep. Little mouthpiece. Yep.
Yeah, little mouthpiece. And there would be a script that would pop up on the screen and then you would hear a beep in your ear and the name would pop up who you're talking to. And you had to read the script verbatim. And they had rebuttals once they started to decline that they didn't want it. You were calling people who already had the phone. It was SBC, which is now AT&T. And so you would literally like have to read it verbatim, have to do your two comebacks for them basically saying that, screw off. And then the moment they hung up, the worst part about it was the moment they hung up, you would get another beep in your ear and the next person's name would pop up. It never, it was never ending. And you got 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch. And it was just awful. It was the worst.
Was it like
I've ever done?
Was it like great money or something? Like,
No.
Why would you?
I don't know why I stuck with it. I stuck with it for 1.5 years. And
come on,
it was harder than my military training. It was so awful. It was so awful.
I'm gonna have to pick my husband's brain because my husband, like your age or younger at the time, like when he was like just getting into college, was like a call center person for the credit card company when you like defaulted on payment, like a collections like person, and would do the same thing and said the same thing, that he'd have to sit in the thing with the headset on and be like, oh, I noticed that you're late on your payments.
Yeah.
How did you guys do, like, I can list 1,000 jobs that I would have rather have done in high school, like sweeping floors, places, scooping ice cream, whatever.
Tell the truth. When you sold long distance or when you sold call waiting, did you give the textbook scream that you did when you went on an event? Yeah.
I did
awesome.
not.
You should have. That would have been awesome.
I had no emotion. I think that's where those emotions came from. Was I was actually screaming in my head every time I want to work out that I'm no longer a telemarketer.
Amazing.
That was literally all I was thinking. Not about winning the workout. So
I need like an old photo of you with this headset on.
I think we all do.
The world needs it, Josh.
So this was like post-college wrestling. I literally I didn't finish college. I only went to college for a year. And I thought for sure in my life, I wanted to be a businessman. And so I got this job as a telemarketer, just as like my way in, right, to becoming some sort of businessman. I did that job for a year and a half and it was miserable. Then I went on to be a loan officer for 3 years. And so I sold, I was the guy who got you your loan for your house if you're purchasing or if you had to refinance your house. I was the guy who did the loan. And that job was not as bad because it wasn't a beep in your ear. You actually just sat and talked to people that actually typically wanted to talk to you for the most part. But yeah, like the business world, that's where I found CrossFit and where I going into the military as well. So this guy, a buddy of mine, his name's Mike Singer. I give this guy a lot of credit because he literally came to me. It was about a year and a half into being a loan officer. And he was like, hey, I'm going to go be a Navy SEAL. And this is what these guys do. They do some of these guys do CrossFit to stay in shape. And I was like, okay, I just kind of started working out again. It'd been probably 2 years and I literally had given up on life. I wasn't working out, wasn't doing anything. I wasn't in shape by any means. And so I remember being like, okay. And then about 6 months prior to meeting this guy, I was doing a little bit of bodybuilding because that's really the only way of working out I knew. I didn't know anything else. And so he was like, yeah, let's do this. And so I was like, yeah, I looked it up. I'm looking at CrossFit.com. This is early January 2005. And I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. And like everyone else, did a workout. I don't remember what my first workout, it might've been, I feel like it was like Annie, the 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Right. Double unders and sit-ups.
Yeah, something like that. And I loved it. And I was like, this is awesome. And didn't look back. I basically, at that point, I was like, after about a month or two of doing CrossFit, I was like, I started researching Navy SEAL training and all this. And it's the toughest military training in the world. And I never really had any aspirations to go into the military, but I was like, this is like, I don't want to do this. I remember sitting in a cubicle being like, this is not going to be my life for the next 40 years. And so made the decision to go do it. And yeah.
That is crazy. Well, I can only imagine what was going through your head when your friend was like, I'm going to just go be a Navy SEAL. I'm just going to go do the hardest thing in the world. I can imagine you being like, okay, bro.
Well, what's funny is when he told, I didn't even know really what a Navy SEAL was. I'm from landlocked Missouri, right? Navy SEALs were not who they weren't portrayed how they are now. They weren't commercialized. It was a little bit quieter.
Right.
So I actually had to do a little bit of research to kind of really realize what Navy SEAls were and about their training and everything like that. And it just seemed really cool. So, it was, the whole thing is crazy, how it all came full circle. But yeah, nuts.
I'm so glad that you took that big step outside your cubicle and went down this path for all of us to watch your fast fitnessing. Where I don't even know where CrossFit would be without you. Just are so very much one of the OGs in my mind, that really helped shape where we're at today. Do you feel that? Do you feel like you were part of the building blocks to get to, the CrossFit that we know and love now?
I don't take any credit for anything that CrossFit has done. I'm so appreciative of what it's done for me in my life in every aspect, with whether just using it as a physical fitness regimen to prepare for my military time, to being a competitor, to now like exactly like people paying me to wear their clothes
Right.
to while I perform exercises. It's absolutely mind blowing that any of this took place, because I've gotten to watch CrossFit grow from literally like having an affiliate page where not every state had an affiliate,
That's
right?
right. Yep.
There was this page where it had the states listed, and it had a green or a red diamond next to the state's name. And if it was green, that meant there was affiliates in the state, and if it was red, it didn't.
I remember
And
that.
it was just crazy. It's crazy how far in the ecosystem that CrossFit has built and what it's done for so many different people. So I don't think I don't deserve any credit on anything. I am so just thankful that someone did decide to create CrossFit and then turn into a sport.
Totally.
And like what it's done for me has been amazing. I'm just so thankful and honored to be a part of it, to be honest.
I think you're being too humble, Josh. I got to be honest. Like, Nikki and I, we've watched all these events. I mean, I tell you, as a spectator of watching these events, and even like the last year you competed, like, don't underestimate the power of what you did in that competition to inspire people to go back into the box and work a little bit harder than maybe they worked before. Like, some of us are really old, dude, like, and kind of broken and beaten down. And we see you out there like giving it all. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll quit bitching about the warm up today and actually go in and do something. Like it really happens. I mean, I think you've inspired a lot of people to start CrossFit. You've inspired a lot of people to continue to CrossFit, and inspired a lot of people to continue to work harder. And now as your social media presence continues to grow through the YouTube channel and obviously through this podcast, that's going to continue. So don't underestimate it. You're making a gigantic impact.
No, and I'm so thankful exactly for anybody that reaches out to me, and I get a lot in that. And so I'm so appreciative of the people exactly who tell me that I inspire them, because it's nothing I've ever inspired. I've never wanted to do. I never thought in my life I want to go inspire people. I've been very selfish, right? I wanted to go serve in the military. Yes, it's a selfless job serving in the military, but it isn't why I did it. I did it because it seemed like a really cool job.
Right.
Like, oh, I get to go shoot guns and jump out of planes and blow shit up. Like, this sounds awesome. Like, I'll do this. Yes. And people will pay me. And then, like, to be honest, though, growing up, military wasn't something that I aspired to do. It was, always wanted to be a professional athlete. I wanted to go play sports. I love sports. I live, breathe, and die sports. I'm just a competitor at heart. I love competing. And so the fact that I got the privilege that something that I was really good at, just because I wanted to make myself better for the military, turned into a sport. And if I inspire people, that's amazing. And I feel really, it definitely helps. It makes me feel really good. Don't think that I don't think that I have inspired people. I know, like I get comments all the time, and it's been awesome. It was nothing I never really expected or strived for, but it's really cool that it has done that.
So Josh, what has like 2020 been like for you then? Because it's been a shit show for everyone, obviously, and the world is on fire, literally around you, on fire. But outside of just, the craziness that we were all in quarantine and we're all whatever, there's no competition. There's no sports for you to watch. There's no competitive CrossFit. There's no anything on any level. And that's like outside of all the normalcies that we know and love, there's like a big chunk of your world that's been missing this year too. What's that been like?
That was when in March, when everything kicked off and my kids' sports started getting canceled and all the other sports started getting canceled. I'm like, hey, this isn't okay.
Hey man, hold on.
This is my life. Like, this is my thing. Like, I like sports. And so like a lot of other, people in the world that just sports are, what they enjoy and what they watch, and it's like their time. And so it was really difficult. Obviously I have my gym. So my life, to be honest, when the pandemic struck, like my life didn't change very much. I don't go very many places, to be honest. I've set my house up.
Okay.
I've set my house up to be my little, ecosystem that I don't have to go anywhere. I have my coffee here. I have my gym here. I have my sauna here. I have all these things that I really have set up that I enjoy doing. And so the only time I really leave my house on a normal basis is to get my kids from school or take my kids to their school stuff. And then if we want to go grab some food to eat, or go to watch a Padres game, a baseball game or something like that, a sporting event. But so my life didn't change very much. My kids were home more, which was awesome. I got to hang out with them and do, really work at, in the past couple of years, they've become in their athletic career, 8 and 10. They
are not already 8 and 10.
Yeah, they're 8 and 10.
Get out. I remember you having littles. You have real full blown people now.
They're men, little boys that are becoming men. And so their athletic, right. Their athletic careers are already past dad being the coach, except for wrestling. I do coach them in wrestling still.
Cool.
But for baseball, and with the pandemic, with everything stopping, I got to take them to there was a field by my house that was open. And so we got to go out there and
fun.
I got to actually be coach, be a little bit of coach again. So that was actually really cool. And so I enjoyed that while it lasted. It's done now. We're back to playing and being able to practice and things like that. But
cool.
I got some really good dad son time. And so that was fun. So my 2020 really hasn't changed that much. And then once sports kicked off back, you got baseball and basketball and football is even starting up now. So, and UFC really never went away and golf never really went away. So
you found sports that were still happening on desert islands.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll find sports. Like I said, I'll watch just about anything.
That's so fun.
Yeah. It's been a interesting year though.
That's cool. I think that a lot of people who set themselves up that way, and obviously we saw freaking rogue equipment was impossible to find. And a lot of people were really trying to make the best of the situation, kind of like you. And I had a similar situation where I coach at a gym, so I have a key. So I got to still go to the gym. I was alone. I got to go. So it wasn't all that crazy different, minus the no competitive CrossFit and not traveling and not doing that, which was super sad. But other than that,
dude,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I've been so hard up for sports. I went to a teenage CrossFit competition over the weekend and I watched every event.
So fun.
And it was and one of these were the best of the best. The boy who won snatched 276. So these are not,
that's more than me.
Yeah, I mean these are strong kids. The girls were clean and jerking 220 at 16 years old. So it was fun to watch, but I couldn't not watch. It's been so long since I've seen any sports. I was literally hanging on every single event. It was so much fun.
And John doesn't watch all the events. John won't even watch all the events at games.
No, I watch the interesting ones. I watch I'm one of those of course, I've been watching since 2011, so I can do math.
Good year.
Very good year.
And I can do math well. So I know when people are not in contention, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch people just do thrusters. I want to see the people that are going to win doing thrusters, the top 5 or the top 10. I don't care about those people that are in 20 and 30th. I respect.
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy. All right. Sometimes you take 30th. It happens.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes. Well, I just don't sit through every single event, but this one I did, man. And and as I was doing it, I started kind of have a aha, maybe I should, because you start learning little things you're watching, every single thing they're doing and seeing the challenges some of these kids are going through and what they're good at and what they're not. And you kind of get invested in them again. It was just like professional sports. It was amazing. Yeah. It was really amazing.
Cool. That's really cool.
And they all lift more than me. So,
Where was it at?
It was up in Michigan. So it was the elite teen throwdown. This group, Pit Fitness, had decided since the teens got canceled, they would invite all the kids that qualified for the games and throw a competition for them. They have this amazing facility. And they ended up they got 59 kids. Most of the international athletes couldn't make it, so they were almost all American. There were a couple of kids from Mexico, a couple from Canada were able to make the trip, and but they got most of the best kids that could be there. Like the top girl, the top boy were there. It was really competitive. They were lifting crazy weights, and the programming was terrific. It felt like a games event. It was.
That's cool.
It felt like watching. Like I told someone, particularly the girls, like a heat would get ready to start, man, and those game faces. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it in your boys, like game faces come on, and it was like seeing, Tia Toomey and Sarah Sigmund's daughter side by side, only they're 16 years old. It was
right.
Awesome.
It was really, really exciting, and
and people need that right now. They need that stuff, right?
Totally.
They need that in their life, and so good for them that that those teens got to do something that they've been working for all year, and they actually got to go out and test themselves and and see where they're at. So that's cool.
Josh, do your kids do CrossFit? Like, do they want to follow in their dad's footsteps, do competitive CrossFit?
I don't know. My youngest one will go out and my youngest one will go out and I don't have to tell him to do anything. He likes to, and I don't push him out into the gym. I think I just don't think that they're there where I'm like, hey, you need to come out and do workouts with me. I'm not that kind of dad. I want to facilitate whatever they want to do with their lives. And if competitive CrossFit is it, I will definitely, but that's going to knock my feelings. If they don't want to go in the military, good for them. Like whatever they want to do, I'll do it. If they want to become, if they want to play piano for a living or whatever, I'll cheer them on and I'll help them do that. So, but with actually like working out, I definitely make them do some stuff for like their sports that they're playing.
Sure.
I don't know if I call it CrossFit. I will make them do some conditioning workouts just to, have them be in shape. But I do a little more like explosive training and rotational training because all the sports they're doing right now, they really need to be good at rotational, which is something that CrossFit actually lacks big time.
Right. And
not that it's, bad. It's just CrossFit isn't really a rotational sport. Everything's pretty, linear. So, yeah, my youngest will go out and he will do like CrossFit workouts on his own. And there was one day where he did like 8 workouts. He's like, Dad, I did 8 workouts today. And I'm like, buddy, and he did a lot of dumbbell snatches and he did a lot of deadlifts. And I was like, dude, like you gotta like ease into this stuff. You're gonna hurt yourself. And all of a sudden I'll just like notice that he's not in the room and I'll walk outside and he's in the garage and he's like out there, like he loves to deadlift because he's good at it. Right. So everyone enjoys the things that they're good at. And so he loves to deadlift and he loves to do pull-ups. And he likes to do like clean and jerks too. And they got the little, little kids bar and they do that. My oldest is a little bit less, he can be a little lazier. Not so motivated when it comes to working out, but when he's out there, he listens really well.
Cool.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll become competitive CrossFitters and, I'd rather see them be baseball players, but
that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so as we're wrapping up, Josh, let's make sure everybody knows where to catch all your stuff. So the new podcast, Checking In with Josh Bridges, where can they find that?
So yeah, that's on Spotify and Apple right now, and on YouTube. I'm actually just like posting them on YouTube. We haven't started doing videos or recording the videos. We've just been doing the audio. So the YouTube, you can listen to it there as well, but it's not the video. Yeah, so those are the 3 spots for the podcast. GoodDudesCoffee.com. If you want to try out some good coffee.
Oh my God, how do we not even talk about coffee on this pod? We can't because I'll talk for another hour. But next time we'll dive directly into coffee because I'm with you. I'm like, it's a thing. It's my thing. I spend money on it. Like it's
exactly. If you drink it every day, why wouldn't you want to drink good coffee? So
exactly.
And too much of it.
Yeah, I don't drink too much. I have a cup in the morning and then I have an espresso in the afternoon. That's my limits.
That's cute.
I don't go past. Because if I do, I won't sleep. So,
yeah.
Nikki's over there like, I have an IV set up off camera that you can't see.
That's basically where I'm at. I should be sponsored by Cold Brew.
I know.
Runs in my veins.
And then the
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
channel still is Josh. It's your Josh Bridges channel, Paying the Man series, right?
Yep. So those are the 3 spots that you can find me at.
I still want to find a facial hair shirt. Is Rogue still making those?
Yeah, they've got them.
Yeah, Rogue. Yeah,
They
that's
still
right.
have
That's a
them?
Rogue.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yeah, that's the only place you can find those. That's
Okay.
We've never done those. Like that's Rogue did that, and so that's where
Those
you
are
get
my
at Rogue.
all-time favorites.
You get that at Rogue Fitness. Yeah.
See, I'm aspiring to the level of CrossFit fame where I get my bald head on one of the shirts, just the
yeah.
outline
There you
of
go.
my bald head. So I
Nice.
won't have the goatee, but the bald head would be awesome.
Nice. Oh,
So
yeah,
this is just so people know, like this is how my facial hair grows in. I don't shave it like this.
No,
Like,
stop it.
Yeah, I don't I literally don't grow hair on the sides of my face.
Are you serious?
I would have a beard if I could. I just this is all I get.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. God just made him naturally badass. That's what it is.
That's gotta be
Yeah,
it.
that's
That's
it.
it. He knew.
That's it.
He was like,
Yeah.
put this man on a motorcycle. This needs
I'm
to
gonna
happen.
have the awesomeness grow out of his right on his upper lip and right on his chin.
Just
And that's
right
it.
up front. I want everyone
Yeah.
to see it. Just that's so funny, Josh. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That makes it so much more like signature you. You're like,
Right.
this, I have a fucking choice. This is how it works. This is just literally
what God
how it
gave me.
is.
No, right. I'm not shaving this into my face. This is just what I got.
Oh man, okay. Good thing I didn't ask you about your like cheek shaving technique. We can lead with that tonight. Good thing.
Right. Right.
All right.
Man.
Well, Josh, thanks for coming on, man. I
Yeah,
really-
this was so fun.
really appreciate the
Yeah.
time. I think people are going to really enjoy the podcast. Make sure you get your surgeon on there. We've demand an episode. We need that.
Yeah.
For sure.
will.
If you want really boring CrossFit podcasters on to talk about how we also don't understand how people listen to us, you let us know.
No, I will for sure. Exactly. I'm always looking for guests. So yeah, it'd be great to have you guys on. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Nikki, we'll both tell you about our first jobs. What was your first job, Nikki?
Oh my God, I worked for family. I worked
Did
for
you?
family forever for my
Nice.
dad and my brother.
Mm.
Yeah, terrible. That was
Yeah.
terrible. When I first started bartending, they were both like, "Why are you leaving the business?" And I was like, like, so I can't middle finger to you guys because you're my dad and my brother, but like that's why.
I can top that. I was a costume character at a amusement park.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. How do we
I
not
was-
into this?
I
How did we let
was.
this slip through the cracks?
Yeah.
I know.
I was. God, I'm gonna catch so much shit for this. It was at Opryland in Nashville. I'd moved to Nashville to study music, and I got this job at Opryland. And Big G Cereal sponsored it, so I was Lucky Charms. It gets better. Count Chocula, the Honey Nut Cheerio Bee, and Trix the Rabbit. Those were my 4 characters. Yes.
Those
I
are
can't-
4 amazing characters.
I
Right?
can't believe the only disappointment here is that you weren't the Sugar Smacks frog.
Yeah, that we didn't have that. We just had the 4.
That's old school. That's if you're not
Yeah.
old, you don't
That's
even know what that
good one.
shit is.
Yes.
That one, do you remember, did it make, like this is a little gross, but the Smack cereal made my urine smell like it.
What?
It was like asparagus. So like, you know how
Really?
you eat asparagus and then you
Yeah,
have that,
yeah.
that smell of
Weird
asparagus.
asparagus pee, totally.
Smacks did the same thing. Dead
Shut up.
serious.
Wow.
Yes.
I think it's just filled with not real food. So it like stayed the same as it went through your
couldn't
body.
It couldn't be. My body's
Maybe.
just like, this has got to get out of here.
This got to go. Just don't even break
Yeah.
it down. You guys
Yeah.
just send it through.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Oh my
Damn
God.
it.
Well, I was not the frog, Nikki. Never the
Oh,
frog.
This is not the way I thought we were
But
going to
hey,
close
Lucky
this
Charms
show.
was a good one. Lucky
Charms
and-
was the
and
way to go.
And the Honey Nut Cheerio Bee. That's a phenomenal. Those
Yeah.
are some great characters.
The Trix Rabbit was the best because he had these huge ears, and when kids would come by and they start poking you, you could just swing the head and hit them with the ears. It was awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was so good.
Amazing.
That's some good stuff right there.
I know. All right. Well, Josh, this has been great, man. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a really fun time. I enjoyed being on. So thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely. Nikki, great to talk to you for the 10th time today.
As always.
All right. For everyone listening, we appreciate you guys joining us. We will chat with you guys soon.